Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Raj Giri, and we're going to talk about SmackDown Live for October 24th, 2017. Raj, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing okay. Good, interesting show last night as they're really starting Survivor Series early this year with this buildup.
Well, I think that's good. I mean, they did the same thing last year with Goldberg and Lesnar. They kind of gave it a long build. But yeah, having this many matches announced a month ahead of time, that's kind of unlike WWE. Real quick,
Yeah.
Kiera Hogan, independent wrestler, recently signed by or Impact Wrestling. She was supposed to be on the podcast. We were having technical difficulties. She could hear us, but we couldn't get her mic to work. So she's going to join us for our SmackDown review and everything next week.
Awesome. Cool, man.
But yeah, I thought, yeah. I mean, the whole build, I like the brand versus brand aspect, but I feel like they haven't done enough to make fans pick a brand or, have any real brand loyalty.
Yeah. Although last night, Shane O'Mac comes out, it's going to justify it. The crowd was treating Shane like a face, not like the guy who just led a group of people to beat down the Raw locker room for no reason on Monday.
Right. But I think regardless which show you're at, you're going to kind of root for that show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like the 90s where people had real loyalty to like WCW or WWE or ECW. This is just kind of like, hey, I'm at SmackDown.
People show up outraged. I'm going to hold you accountable, Shane.
Right, yeah.
I'll never forgive what you did.
How dare you do that to Kurt Angle?
He's an old man. Now, yeah, it was interesting. So he came out and put his justification. It's like, we're going to show them who's the real boss around here. Like, okay. I mean, that's not even on par with the typical, you think you're the best, I'm the best, or right. These other silly reasons we have these feuds.
Like, I did it to get noticed, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When Shane was cutting that promo, he sounded like he didn't believe his own explanation, He wasn't buying it. He was just kind of like, this is a script, I'm reading it, and that's all we got. I was impressed that they got the crowd to chant "Under Siege."
Yeah, that's weirdly a thing. I found myself when I was writing the hashtag on Twitter, I was like, I'm just buying into this crap, which is how I feel about probably 50% of my WWE related tweets.
I will not use that hashtag.
Yeah,
but
so you think they're gonna colon it Survivor Series Under Siege?
I mean, as far as event names go, there are worse, but it just feels very forced.
Well, especially because it's like you guys paid to use the venue that night. There's no
right. It's not like they're taking over Raw or something. Like there's some sort of stip where SmackDown gets something from Raw. It's just Raw versus SmackDown. It's like what pay-per-view did they used to do where they had the Raw versus SmackDown? It was
so when it was Clash of Champions, Bad Blood, Unforgiven. It's one of those kind of.
It was one of those B names, like Invasion, right?
Oh, well, no, Invasion was the original WCW Shane Stephanie faction.
Didn't that become the Raw versus SmackDown?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, bragging rights. Thanks, guys.
Bragging rights. Literally the most worthless thing is the name of the pay-per-view.
Yeah. But, I mean, they're doing the champion versus champion stuff. I just feel like you just don't feel like you're seeing dream matches or anything like that.
No.
With the Survivor Series show. If it was Brock versus Cena, even though you've seen it before, it feels like two megastars from each brand going at it. Or, if it was Charlotte and Sasha, even though you've seen it, you would get the feeling that it's the real top women on each brand. But that's not happening. Or Asuka and Charlotte. If you had those kind of matches, it would feel like it, but it just feels like just regular stuff.
The Usos versus Rollins and Ambrose. Weird how a year and a half can change that whole thing, because now that seems really fresh. Before, that would have seemed like a throwaway old style SmackDown.
I think that match will be great.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. Natalia versus Alexa. I mean, it's only been 6 months since I think we saw that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Baron Corbin versus the can't even finish the joke there, Rush. It's Baron Corbin versus the Miz. But I mean, do you think any of those titles are going to change between now and Survivor Series?
No, not really. The one I thought might change would be Roman being added to, them changing that match with Ambrose and Rollins versus the Usos and making it Roman and the Shield and Braun against Kane and those guys. But that doesn't seem like that's going to happen now. It looks like it's going to be Kane and Braun in the singles. Roman's probably going to be on Team Raw if he can make it. So I don't see the lineup changing much. I don't know how much more they can add.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming based on the outcome of the main event, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will have something else to do at Survivor Series.
I'm sure Sami will get added to that match eventually.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too soon to break them up and go one-on-one. So unless they add them to the team, I don't know what else they have for them. And that, I mean, weird to say, given for the past year we've been saying, they don't see Sami as a top guy. Sami's in at least the main event storyline on SmackDown right now.
I will say this. I thought Sami was freaking great last night. I thought he was just awesome coming out that opening promo. I would have never imagined him to be so good at being a heel. He was just awesome. I thought he was the star of the show. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's very similar his persona. He's just a little more smarmy and looser with it.
Yeah, he seems way more comfortable. He seemed kind of like a strict teacher before as a babyface, and now he seems just kind of like he's having fun out there. And
it's
coming across. Yeah,
dancing at Shane's face
and his promos and everything. It seems believable. It doesn't seem like he's reading a script or it doesn't seem forced. So, man,
yeah,
I didn't see it coming, but Sami was awesome.
Yeah, so that was the opening segment last night. Shane coming out to justify his actions.
And real quick, someone's mentioning Sami is a better heel than a babyface. It's weird because Sami is such a natural babyface, you know, like nice guy. Sure, people say he has his idiosyncrasies, his annoying backstage, but he's just got that natural babyface thing. But he is such a great heel, and you just wonder what other people on the roster would probably be, if you were to try him the other way, like if you tried Bray Wyatt as a face or something like that. How much more you'd get out of it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm assuming this is just leading up probably around Mania if they have nothing else for them to them breaking up. Sami gets hit on the apron again, gets his personality back, and then we get the Sami Zayn Road to Redemption Part 2,
Yeah. Well, I hope they keep Sami and Kevin Owens together for a long time because that story's already been done.
Yeah.
And I don't need to see that again anytime soon.
We'll see.
Even though it was awesome, they had great matches and everything. But I like this dynamic. It's fresh. It's different. We've never seen it in WWE because even in NXT, Owens turned on Sami pretty early on.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever teamed or anything in NXT.
And they were playing it last night. They're already doing these little touches to make it seem like it's much more sincere. With Jericho, they started lampshading it pretty hard.
Yeah. You got the impression that Owens didn't really wasn't into it from the beginning. Whereas with this, it's very reciprocal.
Yeah, it's different, and it's good. People are responding to it, so hey, good on both those guys. And Kevin was back last night after his personal leave of absence for a couple days.
Yeah, it looks like everything was okay with that, so that's good to hear.
Good, man. So you made the main event for last night for Sami versus Randy Orton for a spot on the Survivor Series team. It was a funny little joke going there. The New Day walking backstage and seeing the raw fruit on the table with the sign that said raw fruit. What did you make of them teasing that retribution last night that never paid off?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's good because it was almost too predictable if they did that.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think it kind of, I'd like to see Angle say, we'll be there. We're just not going to tell you when or something like that. So it kind of keeps you guessing, kind of keeps you tuning in. But I like that they actually weren't there because then you don't need to see that same exact angle twice in 1 week.
Yeah.
But it is a letdown as well for fans who are tuning in, hoping that happens. And then they're teasing that it will happen.
Which is, I think the WWE in recent memory has been better about paying off anything they allude to. There hasn't been one of those we make you think this is going to happen then nothing happens moments in quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of the last time. They have been a lot better about that.
Yeah, so that's what I thought was odd about it, because it seemed very strange to have the shot at backstage at the door and all that, and the thing about security. Yeah, it's weird, but hey, you know, it's coming eventually, folks. It's bound to happen between now and Survivor Series. So the New Day versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable with the Usos on commentary. Once again, the Usos saying, hey, with New Day, we got nothing but respect. We're on the same level. We've been through some stuff together. We're good. And Gable and Benjamin being set up a little more like the heels in all of this.
Yeah, it definitely looks like they did a double turn last week, which I think that's I think that's the best. I think Usos, they've done a tremendous job, but I think they could do their characters perfectly as baby faces without kissing ass. I think that would kind of take them down a notch. While I think Gable really needs a heel turn because he's just been stale. And same as Benjamin. Benjamin as a babyface has never really clicked, so it gives them something. I mean, I would have rather them turn Gable and Jordan heels and tried that out, but it's a little too late for that.
Gable needs to bring back the towel. Everything went to hell when Gable stopped using that Ready, Willing, and Gable towel. I
don't know.
Love that. Love that towel.
Yeah.
Surprised that, in the merchandise version is not the same one as that. They made it all fancy looking. It's not like the duct tape looking letters or whatnot.
Huh.
God, American Alpha used to be so good.
They seem like it's like Asuka. They seem like a no-brainer, and Nakamura, that they're going to be huge stars once they get on the main roster. And we see, I think it shows. I don't know. It just shows that Vince's idea of who the stars are hasn't changed that much, and you really got to prove yourself to break out of that mold.
It's also something to be said for NXT seeing somebody once every 3 weeks or once every month versus trying to give them. I mean, you're either every week or you're nothing on the main roster for the most part.
But even when NXT brought all these talents on in the first place, they did it right. Yeah. You didn't watch Nakamura's debut and be like, wow, man, they blew that. Or
it's never the debut. It's never the debut. It's like it's like having a friend that you see once a month. You're like, God, that's such a great guy. We should hang out more. And the first time you get together, you're like, okay, we're having lunch. We're gonna start hanging out more, man. This is great. We're together. We're having lunch. This is gonna be a thing now. And then by week 3, you're like, maybe once a month was more where it's at. Yeah. We don't need to see each other every week.
Well, I mean, even 6 months later, they still feel like big stars, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they just booked them better.
It's a challenge. I mean, look at what we saw last night with Bobby Roode and the way. I mean, God, 2 out of 3 falls match. Literally had a segment last night where the whole point of the segment was Ziggler and Roode being like, "We're on the same level, you and me. We're not friends, but clearly we've got a bit of a back and forth." That is not the rocket ship to superstardom to say. Dolph Ziggler saying, "You won my respect. We are on the same level."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was weird, man. So backstage, the women last night talking about the Survivor Series team. Love Daniel Bryan throwing shade at Lana there and just being like, everyone, but not you.
Right. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Buried her a little bit, but it was funny.
And of course, setting up the main event for AJ Styles versus Sunil Singh. Oh, so much to talk. Well, so little to talk about there. So much to talk about the little that happened there. But back from the break, Reservoir Dogs version of the Fashion Files last night with Breezango and the Ascension. Setting something up with the Bludgeon Brothers. Pretty hard.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm done with the Fashion Files.
Really?
I didn't think it was as bad as last week, but
yeah, last week was the low point.
But I felt like it's kind of lost its charm.
Yeah, and now they're teasing the next thing, saying Stranger Things parody next week, folks.
I never saw Stranger Things, so
it's good.
I'm not going to get that.
You're an 80s kid. You actually really like that show. I mean, did you go watch it in the theaters?
I have not yet.
It was really good also.
I know. I'm actually excited to see that, but with 2 kids, it's hard to get out.
Yeah, Stranger Things, though, it's got that kind of Goonies retro vibe. It was very enjoyable. I'm looking forward to the new season. So, yeah, expect Fashion Files to do a half-ass parody of that next week. Which it's weird, right? That's the double-edged sword. The half-ass parody sometimes are really funny, and then sometimes it's Pulp Fiction, where it's just like, oh, this is so groan-worthy.
Yeah, I just feel like most of the clever stuff I don't know. It just feels like it's in the past.
I think these guys are ever going to wrestle again, or we're just going to keep getting this.
That's the thing. I feel like if they have them wrestle in between and do these less frequently. I mean, I guess they have been doing less frequently. They've been off of TV altogether. But yeah, I mean, it clearly looks like they're headed to a feud with the Bludgeon Brother. God, I feel stupid saying that name. But with Harper and Rowan.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was getting at when we asked Matt Morgan about this a couple weeks ago, and he was saying this is living the dream. You're not taking bumps. You're getting a paycheck. You're over. You get to do these segments. But yeah, you're not a wrestler anymore at that point. You're just a guy doing comedy skits.
And at some point, that only takes you so far.
Yeah. And when they forget about you or they decide it's old, they don't necessarily put you back in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at all the comedy acts of the past with, Santino and the Bushwhackers, and there's a very limited ceiling of how high you could
go. Speaking of limited ceilings, Sin Cara versus Baron Corbin. Sin Cara winning by DQ last night. Oh my God, the feud continues.
Yeah, so they basically had Baron Corbin squash him, but Sin Cara gets the win. But they got nothing else for these guys. It's a long time until the December pay-per-view, so it's a TV feud. It continue. I mean, it's kind of like, what's the point when you've seen the champion already dominate the guy, even though the guy wins by a technicality?
Yeah, I just, it's not doing either of them any favors. I mean, look, Sin Cara has his goodwill with the fans. Sin Cara, I mean, you like him or you're just kind of meh. But Baron Corbin, I think. This doesn't help. Baron Corbin is really good at doing his gimmick, but I think doing it against an opponent that doesn't talk, it's not as captivating as this typical smug jerk sort of thing when he's just coming out there. Yes, we get it. He's ruthless, whatever. Right. So back from the break, recap of Under Siege attack on Raw. The Singh brothers come out. They respond to Paul Heyman. Jinder comes out, responds to Paul Heyman. Building up that, totally happening. At Survivor Series, Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar. And then Sunil Singh versus AJ Styles.
So this is this is his first match on TV since being affiliated with Jinder, right? Either of the
yeah, they haven't wrestled.
Bollywood boys, the Singh brothers, I mean. So, the Singh brothers can do some cool stuff, but they shouldn't have been competitive with AJ. So, this was good for what it was, a place filler while keeping the feud going. There really should be limited involvement between AJ and Jinder before Survivor Series anyway. Even though that's the match that's going to headline the SmackDown house shows going forward, I think starting this weekend. And
I'm assuming the December pay-per-view.
Yeah, I would assume. I mean, they've got really nobody else.
Yeah, so he was squashed. Next week, Samir versus AJ Styles. The week after that, maybe Jinder's Turban versus AJ Styles. We're just going to keep stretching this out.
Yeah, or Jinder in a tag match against AJ and someone, there's all the different variations, but or maybe the next week it'll be the Singh brothers against AJ in a handicap match.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I swear, it's like
someone's bringing up that the Singh brothers had a handicap match against Nakamura. Oh yeah, I kind of remember that. Does that sound right?
Did they?
Sounds right.
I have no recollection.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But that's the thing. They don't let these guys get any offense in. They don't let them do their thing like the Bollywood boys when they were in the Cruiserweight tournament.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it might as well be James Ellsworth out there at this point. It's just
a quick workout. It's just to give him something to do because AJ is still working these So next week, the advertised dark match is AJ versus Jinder. So AJ will be wrestling twice that night. But, one of those matches clearly just actually, they're both probably going to be short, quick. AJ's not going to get a big workout with those.
And those house show dark matches typically are, well, actually, one-on-one might not be as bad. It's when they do the random tag of, hey, now it's going to be 3-on-3. I mean, that's almost more about the entrances and the comedy than the match itself. But one-on-one, maybe, they'll at least make it go 10 minutes and provide something for everyone that's stuck through 205 Live.
Not really. Those dark matches after SmackDown, after 205 Live, are usually pretty short. They, at least they have been lately. I mean, Jinder and AJ, I think the week before went 2 minutes.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just, I think by that point, everyone's so tired that they're like, all right, here, you get to see a couple stars and then you could go home.
Yeah. Fatal 5-way last night to crown the SmackDown Live women's team captain. Becky Lynch versus Naomi versus Carmella versus Charlotte Flair versus Tamina Snuka.
A multi-person women's match on SmackDown?
Never.
Who would have thunk that?
Becky won. Tamina got some good offense in. More of Tamina than we usually see in a match. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like we said, when Alicia Fox won on Monday for the Raw women's team, does being team captain really mean anything?
It means less now than it did. And that's not a knock against Becky. It's just that she hasn't been pushed. Charlotte has been to a degree. So if you had it be Charlotte and Asuka, I think people would care a lot more as opposed to Alicia and Becky. It just means nothing.
It was Natalia last year.
Right.
And we got a couple of good vignettes with that, with the idea that she was going to coach or give guidance, but that's really all it is. It's a few backstage. You get to say like, oh, I'm giving everyone a pep talk.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see. Hey, if there's hope for Sami Zayn, there's hope for Becky Lynch at this point,
Mm-hmm.
What did you make? So not to go, because it reminds me about the weird heelishness of what she did Monday and leading the charge. What did you make of all those vignettes they were showing from the social media? I didn't actually watch those when people were posting them on Twitter, but that was so weird to me that every superstar from SmackDown cut some promo just about how badass it was. They went and just beat down people for no reason.
Yeah, again, it just seems so forced. Yeah, I don't know. I wish one of us liked this because the response has been mixed because there are a lot of people that do like it.
It was a cool spectacle Monday night. I thought Monday night when we got on this podcast, I was like, my first thought was that was a really cool ending. Very over the top, not necessarily unexpected, but actually, I guess it was because they were just coming back from the South American tour. It was something we hadn't seen full bore. But then when you stop and think about, okay, what's the storyline with this? You start to go, this makes zero sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the spectacle was cool.
Well, yeah.
Just because they haven't done this since the brand split. A full on.
It kind of reminded me of the Nexus attack in a way.
Yes.
But at least the Nexus attack, it didn't not make sense. It was just random. You didn't know what was going on. Whereas this seemed very, it just didn't make sense. It seemed forced.
And if you watch any episode of the original NXT, you would fully believe that all these guys have a reason to be angry. Yeah.
I mean, if you had a little bit of a storyline running between Raw and SmackDown anytime over the past year, which they really haven't, they keep them completely separate, but there's no competition. There's not one side trying to take the other guy's, talent. There's nothing that they could be doing to kind of keep that sense of, of a rivalry there. So at least they haven't done it in a long time. So it's just a random.
Well, they made a very thin point about loaning them AJ and then Kurt talking trash about SmackDown, or he didn't even say talking trash, just sort of being dismissive of the rest of the roster.
Yeah.
Thin. It's the word I would use to describe it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Becky's the captain. We shall see. Bludgeon Brothers promo, another vignette, getting juice out of that green screen.
Oh man. I can't tell if this is supposed to be corny, like it's supposed to be kind of funny, or they think that fans think they're scary, and if maybe they do, I don't know. It just seems corny as all hell.
Well, we'll see what happens when they're back. Maybe against. Actually, I was gonna say maybe Breezango. No, I think the Ascension. I think this is gonna be the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Ascension.
Probably.
Yeah,
that's probably where they'll start.
Good for the Ascension in the Fashion Files. I feel like good for Breezango, but good for the Ascension that they're getting something.
Yeah, I think they need to change up their look, their gear.
They did,
but wrestling wise,
yeah.
When they actually get back in the ring.
Yeah. After that backstage vignette we talked about, Ziggler and Rude setting up 2 out of 3
both
falls
these guys, man. They're hopefully, I don't know if this is the end of the feud or they split the last fall, or the last fall is a double DQ and it just keeps going. Because they're booked for house shows going into December. So,
yeah.
And I don't know where either of them would go from here. So I think that feud keeps going.
Got to keep Ziggler strong, man. Cricket Wireless has him, the face of the campaign in those commercials.
Ziggler's been really entertaining on Twitter, and his promo, I think he's been outshining Rude on him.
Yeah. No, I've always thought Dolph Ziggler is very talented and has a lot there. They just keep putting him in these situations where it's like they're almost setting him up to fail. Making the best of it.
Yeah, he'll start to get over with the fans, and they kind of, kick his feet out from underneath him.
I liked what
almost
they did
every
last
time.
Year. When he had the IC title, they did the thing with the Miz bringing back the Spirit Squad, but they just ran it into the ground.
Really, Ziggler was the hottest when he had won the Money in the Bank and he won the World Heavyweight title. The fans went nuts, and then he got that concussion, and it just hasn't been the same since. Not him, just the way they haven't pushed him really since. Yeah, he was in the world title match at SummerSlam, but that was clearly a throwaway thing. He wasn't built as a serious contender.
Yeah. Sami Zayn versus Randy Orton last night. Kevin Owens came out with the distraction. Orton did the low blow, picked up the win on Sami, and he's now on the SmackDown team for Survivor Series. Kevin Owens versus
50-50 stuff.
Yeah, Kevin Owens versus Nakamura next week.
This match was good. I liked it. SmackDown lately has been, for me, it's been like one segment's good early on, and then the main event's good. And then there's kind of a lot of filler in the middle. And I felt like last night's episode was the same.
I'll say one thing about the 2-hour show is it's a lot easier to follow that through line in storylines. With Raw, when they do an opening segment and then they wrap it up, bookend at the end, 3 hours later, it feels like it's 5 weeks have gone by. And I'm trying to remember why I'm still so invested in this.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
the 2 hours helps it a lot. I'm rarely bored by the time the main event comes on. There are times when I'm just, shaking my head at what they're doing, but I'm usually not bored.
Yeah. And, I said this on Twitter last night because we do the podcast live Monday after Raw. Obviously, we watch Raw live every week. The thing that I will say about SmackDown Live, since really the whole Shane and Kevin thing, I don't think I've missed a single live SmackDown since then. That I feel like I have to tune in to see what happens next. And that's the best compliment I can give them.
The Shane and Kevin stuff has been great. I think the Sami stuff has been great. But outside of that, it's been a lot of blah. And I think since WrestleMania, Raw has been the better show.
Well, yeah. Ever since the
Superstar shakeup.
Yeah. So we'll see. Survivor Series, 3 more weeks of TV.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
NXT War Games that same weekend.
I think that'll be awesome.
Yeah. How was 205 Live last night?
Oh man, the crowd the crowd was just dead for this whole show. And the Enzo Kalisto main event, I mean, that's the quietest I've ever heard them for an Enzo match. And then it just ended with Enzo kicking the ref, and it was a DQ, got himself intentionally disqualified. So when you got a dead brand and you're doing finishes like that, I can understand doing that finish if you did it like in the second hour of Raw or something like that. But you got a dead brand and that's your main event and that's what you deliver. I don't think that's the best idea.
Yeah, they just keep these things going. Enzo, but who else are they going to put Enzo with in a feud right now?
I don't know. I mean, That's the thing, right? I mean, you could bring Hideo Itami, but that's kind of I don't know if that's a waste. But I don't see Hideo Itami doing well on the main roster. So I don't know. It's kind of I don't know what you do with that brand.
So I believe you broke the news the other night that Austin Aries was backstage.
No, he had posted a photo on Instagram during period that it looked like he was backstage, but he wasn't. So he was trolling. Then he got upset when people were, saying that he was backstage. It's like, dude, you post a photo of yourself and Enzo backstage with the hashtag WWE TLC, and you get upset when people are thinking you're backstage.
He's been active on Twitter. I posted the thing when you were talking about the Triple H dancing with the New Day. I posted a thing, saying that Triple H's dancing makes Austin Aries look like MC Hammer, and Aries responded to my tweet within seconds. He was really active the other night.
Did he get upset?
No, he was talking about he used to rock some Hammer pants. He retweeted it. But that's what I'm saying. He's really. He'll
yell at us on Twitter sometimes for things here and there, but for the most, I like Aries. I'm a big fan. I love Aries.
But, hey man, any vegan wrestler, automatically has my respect. But no, I think he's just great. And the open invitation, Austin, if you ever want to come on the podcast,
absolutely,
love to have you. But no, I think he's getting more serious now that enough time has passed about what he's going to do on the indies. I mean, he's promoting stuff more. He's engaging more.
Yeah, and we'll get to some of these questions, but Aries has he said he's making a lot more on the next month coming up on the indies than he did in WWE, and I think that's been a general consensus with a lot of these cruiserweights, is that with the way that the division's structured, you can make more on the indies, or at least profit wise per shot you can make more, and not have to deal with all that travel. Overall, you're probably still making more with WWE, but if you're taking per date, you can definitely make a lot on the indies if you're a big star.
Has anyone broken that down? Has Wrestling Inc. done the math, or someone like Bix done an article where you really break down how those financials work out on an indie circuit versus undercard?
It's been a while. The WWE, because the problem is it's so different when you're talking about an underneath talent as opposed to a cruiserweight, because cruiserweights don't work all the house shows and everything.
Yeah, but he came in through NXT, and he had a high-level NXT contract originally.
Right. I'm sure he was making more than NXT, but I don't know. I don't know that for sure.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, that's a good idea to do something on that. Well, because when I have some time.
Yeah. Well, what was it? People were complaining about Mysterio's. What was Mysterio's guarantee recently that leaked? What was it? Something like, it was like a 5-figure. Can't remember. It was like 30 grand or something insane.
With WWE?
No. Rey Mysterio's indie booking.
Oh, yeah. I'm forgetting what it was, but he was making a lot.
Yeah. But you figure if you prorate it out per house show, CM Punk talked about this. So if you take it and break down what the contract is, you're basically getting a couple grand for every house show you're doing. That's how it works out if you were just to do it show by show. And you got to figure, if you're a guy like Cody could probably get 20 grand in in 2 plane tickets in a hotel to fly out somewhere and do an indie weekend right now.
Yeah, I remember we had an interview with Tyler Rex who really went into it about how much he made and how much, a lot of the guys at his level were making. And he was saying it was something he was getting his downside of, I want to say it was 100 grand.
Yeah.
But then once you threw in, you got to pay your own travel expenses. You got to pay plane tickets, but you got to pay room, food, gym, all that stuff. And he was saying he was almost broke with
100 grand after taxes. That's maybe 60, 65.
Right.
Because you got self-employment tax in all of that.
And if you're paying, let's just say you get a cheap hotel and you don't eat too extravagant, where when you're an athlete, you're supposed to be getting, healthy food. But let's say you're spending $100 a night. That's, close to 40 grand right there. You're getting 60 after taxes. So you're basically got 20 grand after all that. And that's assuming you're living on the low end of your means. So.
Yeah. No, so it definitely adds up very fast.
Richard's pointing out that Mysterio had a 20 grand guarantee. So
yeah, man, you do that 52 weekends a year.
but not many people are at Mysterio's level. So
that's true.
You know, Cedric Alexander is not going to be getting that kind of a guarantee.
Yeah, it's got to be easier though to match wise, right? Because there's two styles of work in the indies. One is you're going to put on, you know, why am I blanking on the name right now? You're going to put on a Ring of Honor style match. You're going to do serious indie competition, like what Cody has done and what some of these guys do. And the other one is you're just going to go and essentially do what, you know, Scott Hall has been doing for the last 2 decades. You know, or the last decade rather. You're going to go out there. You're not even going to take a bump. You're just going to sort of stampede some people, do your signature move, sign some autographs, shake some hands,
right,
and get a paycheck.
Well, I bet you Neville can get. I bet he can get a lot when he leaves, and plus he's got the fact that he quit almost raises his value a bit because it makes him cooler to fans. To a lot of because a lot of those indie fans are very anti WWE. You know. So I think that increases his value a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, there's definitely a difference if you're going out and working New Japan versus just, you know, making the circuit, photos and autographs.
Yeah, someone's asking if wrestlers receive pay each week or 2. You know what? We'll have I'll get someone, a former WWE guy on here one time and talk financials.
Yeah. So, actually, that would be great. I mean, I just want, we've talked about this before with Matt, where just the random stuff like, so what was catering like exactly? You know, just like walk us through this. Yeah. I'm fascinated by the minutia of the behind the scenes in road life. Because you hear about it in these offhand comments. What was it, New Day? I think it was on Table for 3, talking about how they use Hotwire to book all their hotels because they had to be so cheap with money, you know?
Yeah. So we can ask Matt some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, otherwise, we can have someone else that's been there recently.
Yeah, because Matt was in the day. Matt says he's still getting royalty checks.
Right.
You know.
Someone's asking. Rachel was asking what I rated TLC. I'd give it a solid 8 or 7.5. I thought the main event was great. I loved AJ and Finn, but the rest was just blah.
Yeah, at least it ended better than it started.
Yeah, people pointing out the GFW stuff. Yeah, so. Impact is no longer GFW. They have terminated, they've terminated their relationship with Jeff Jarrett. GFW, I don't know if it's dead. I don't know if Jeff Jarrett's going to do anything with it. I don't know what he can do. And I hope Jeff Jarrett's okay. I mean, he was a mess last weekend. He's been a mess recently. We've received reports of him I spoke to a couple of wrestlers who at the tapings, he wasn't in the best of shape by the end of the tapings, I believe in August. So, I think I hope he gets his stuff together because he's got a great mind. And when he was brought back, it felt like Impact was getting some momentum and they knew what they were doing. And now it just kind of feels
feel like that.
Well, yeah, it just feels lost again. And right now with Jeff Jarrett, they felt like they had direction and they don't right now. Yeah. So I just hope Jeff pulls himself together and gets, I don't know if it's anything serious or just a bad run lately or what, but hoping for the best for him.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, speaking of which, I mean, is there a Impact conference call this week?
There is.
How do they justify this?
Yeah, it's with Allie and Sienna. So I got to jump on. I don't know. Probably going to jump.
Who else is on this call? Who else aside from you says every Wednesday, I need to be on this call, man?
I never say I need to. It's just one of those things. I'm here. I'm not at the office today anyway. So when I do the podcast, I do it from the home office and then the rest of the site stuff from my office. So since I'm here, it's like, why not?
And does anyone like release these calls? Do you record them and put them on Wrestling Inc?
Yeah, we post articles on anything important on them. There's usually 1 or 2 interesting things after each call. So, I mean, I'm going to ask about Jarrett leaving and unless, I have a feeling at the beginning of the call, they're going to say no questions about Jarrett.
I mean, what are they going to do? Like go see what Billy Corgan's up to with his NWA revival or?
Ah, man, I'm telling you, I bet you Anthem is just kicking themselves for bidding, for battling it out with Billy Corgan over taking over the company,
Yeah.
because now I don't think, I mean, they've been running the Fight Network and everything, but it's wrestling promotion's a whole different ball game, and it just looks like I don't know. Without Jeff Jarrett, we will see.
Yeah. So what questions do we have?
Let's see what else. Netflix would do better with wrestling than WWE has.
I don't know if the programming would be better, but I think, I've been sounding this trumpet. I mean, I think that they've got so much money that they could, if they wanted to, they're the only one that could do a WCW at this point. The only one that could afford to.
They could, but we've seen the success rate. So
yeah.
You'd have to get people that know what they're doing, and how many people are like that out on the market, Well,
Jimmy Jacobs is free now.
Yeah, but the creative and running a wrestling promotion are two different things.
Call up Eric Bischoff, see what he's up to.
Yeah, call up Jeff. Yeah,
Jeff.
Get Global Force Wrestling on Netflix.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other questions, guys? There's a lot of comments. The pay stuff. Guys like Rock and Batista, do you see them as sellouts? Hell no. Could you imagine if Rock decided I'm not gonna go this route?
Like $30 million a picture. Nah, yeah. I'm just taking bumps, in Albuquerque on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm gonna feud with SmackDown at the Survivor Series. So no, I definitely don't think they're sellouts, and I think almost anyone in their position would do that. I mean, you look at Triple H. I mean, he can wrestle right now, but
yeah,
he's went the corporate route. It's not movies, but he's still not wrestling. So
I love the Triple H.
Look at Cena. Cena was the biggest example because he was the one that used to rip The Rock for it. And,
oh yeah.
It's once it comes your way, it's a hard thing to say no to.
Yeah, I love that Triple H went to South America to fill in and what wrestled Rusev, and then Triple H was still like, no, but I'm going over.
Well, it wouldn't make. There's still a lot of value in a Triple H victory.
He's not at the stage of his career where he's about putting over young talent,
and I don't think he ever will be. I think it's by that time it's time to go.
Triple H is going to be 90 out there, and still like, but I'm pinning him. I'm still winning. And I get the bigger entrance.
Right. Someone's mentioning Triple H wants The Rock one more time at WrestleMania. I think The Rock wants that too, but the movie studios don't want that to happen. He got injured at WrestleMania when he faced John Cena. I think the second time, and it just threw everything. Everything went haywire. They had to move the schedule for Hercules. Rock couldn't do Pub for Pain and Gain. So
I think it's weird because that's the movie everyone points to now. We're like, oh, The Rock can really act. Did you see Pain and Gain?
I thought he could for a while. But yeah, I thought he was. Yeah, I thought he was really good in Pain and Gain. Even though the movie I thought fell short of expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was. I mean, legitimately showed some range in that.
Yeah. But I think I got to jump on this call soon. So
okay,
maybe did you do you have anything else?
I think that covers it, man. It feels like wrestling this week just went right by.
Yeah, it's a busy week, but it was really busy Monday, and then SmackDown, it's just kind of there. Not much else.
I will see how they keep this momentum going on #Under Siege.
Someone's asking if there are too many heel versus heel matches on the Survivor Series card, and that is a good point. I mean, I could see the Miz versus Baron Corbin just bombing, and Natalya versus Alexa Bliss almost for the same reason. I can't remember the last time we've seen a good heel versus heel match where the crowd got into it.
Yeah. Well, but it's how the crowd treats them, right? I mean, Miz versus Baron Corbin, I think everyone's on Team Miz with that one in the crowd.
You would think, but how often is Miz cheered?
More often than
the IWC likes him, but he's not really. You don't see people rooting for him during a match, so we'll see. I mean, there could be the natural choosing the Miz in that, and I mean, I could totally see that, but we'll see.
Yeah, man, only a couple weeks away. Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Survivor Series Under Siege. Survivor Series, the second longest running pay-per-view.
Steven Seagal special appearance.
Yes, exactly. Second longest.
Have him be the special ref for
have you
Jinder
seen
and Brock.
Steven Seagal lately?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
It's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, kind of crazy, man. Kind of crazy. But yeah, Survivor Series, second longest running pay-per-view in the WWE.
Yeah, someone's bringing up Miz was cheered against Cena. That's WrestleMania. That's always you kind of gotta. Almost anyone at WrestleMania is cheered against Cena.
Yeah, and WrestleMania travel packages go on sale soon, including, did you see the top tier? You go to New York first, then you're going to get on a private flight with wrestlers down to New Orleans.
Yeah, those are like $6,000 or something.
Oh, more than that. It's like $8,000 for
right,
the
$8,000
flight one. But you know what? I read online all the time people that do the travel packages and are very happy with their decision as a once in a lifetime vacation. I'm one of those I'm going to book everything myself kind of guys.
Yeah,
spending probably 20 times the value in time as I would have in money just booking a travel package.
Right. That's the thing. Sometimes is I'll be like, well, I'm gonna search online and do my research, and then I end up saving like $10 for like some speakers or something. That
and for Dallas, I kept having to wake up. I'm on the West Coast, so I kept having to wake up 10 a.m. Central Time, or earlier that was like 9 a.m. Central Time to like buy tickets for everything, for, like every access and all that. I mean, it was just such a chore. It was fun. It's a great trip, but
yeah,
I don't know. New Orleans could be fun, like you said. It's all in one area, which is nice for a WrestleMania with all the other indie events going on.
Yeah, WrestleMania, because Bourbon Street, there's just so much going on there. You just see so many wrestlers out there, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Awesome. So we'll be back Monday Night Raw.
Thanks to Peter in the comments for all the kind comments.
Yeah, man. No, our fans are incredible. I know this isn't like patronizing, this isn't just kissing ass, but seriously, I mean, I get messages, and I know Matt's talked about this before. I don't know what you see, Raj. I know you probably get a lot of stuff just about Wrestling Inc. in general, but I get people messaging me on like LinkedIn or on Twitter, and all these people in the comments talking about, even though they're with Justin, like, oh, he's joining my favorite podcast. And I'm like, have to step out of my body for a second and just be like, wow, that's quite a compliment to make. So thanks to everyone that tunes in and listens in. Seriously, we couldn't do this without your support.
Absolutely. We appreciate it.
So we will be back here Monday night to talk about Monday Night Raw. And until next time, folks, I'm Glenn Rubenstein. We'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.